Hello, welcome to Screen Talk with yours truly, Nomfanelo. So before I get into this video's topic, I want to mention that I made a brief video on this. So I want to talk about Riverside FM, which is a platform that I am currently using to record videos. For my YouTube channel, for example, you would note the logo in the video. So I would love it for you guys. You could sign up for Riverside to record your own videos, whether it's for YouTube or you could do for social media or whatever. It's a really great platform. So it not just has the free version, but you could do a paid version too, which has more features. So you could sign up for a Riverside account through my affiliate link in the description. All right, so I want to talk about the films of this week that is currently buzzing for quite some time, which are Barbie and Oppenheimer. Together, they're known as Barbenheimer. So, it is quite a fascinating experience. So, I watched both of these movies in theaters, and I would say that there's no like preferred order because I think regardless whichever order you do, whether it's on the same day or if it's one day then the next day, you'll probably have a great experience. So I want to talk briefly before I get into share my thoughts on the whole Barbenheimer experience. I do want to get into like the genesis of this movement. So going to Wikipedia, so it's Wikipedia, so take it as a grain of salt. So, Barbenheimer essentially is an internet phenomenon that essentially accumulated because of the releases of Barbie and Oppenheimer, which came out on July 21st. So, these movies are clearly separate because Barbie is more of the commercial mass appeal film and is based on a huge IP. Well, Oppenheimer, the movie is based off the book American Prometheus, but it's a biopic and it skews towards an older audience. While Barbie, I'll get into Barbie moment later on. So essentially, yeah, like these are vastly two different films, and it's interesting, like how, like with this whole Barbenheimer thing, like it really got quite huge because I would say though, like before, like we've had similar events, like particularly with Nolan, because of Nolan, he had The Dark Knight that came out in 2008, the same day as Mamma Mia, and there has been like a history like of double features because I would say I did a double feature in theaters a few months ago where I saw Polite Society and Sisu in theaters on the same day. I think I saw Polite Society first, and then Sisu just based off the show times for the movie that worked for me at that time. And you could check out my letterbox, like in terms of my ratings for those movies, and also too for Barbie and Oppenheimer. So how this started. So with Christopher Nolan, he's for a while as he has had like a relationship with Warner Brothers. He released several films under the studio, such as the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, amongst others. So what happened was during the release of Tenet, the head of Warner Brothers at the time decided to wanted to release the movies both in theaters and on HBO Max at the same time, which angered a lot of filmmakers under Warner Brothers, including Christopher Nolan, because Christopher Nolan is known for being a champion of the cinemas and all that stuff. So he decided that he's going to leave Warner Brothers because of this. And for Oppenheimer, he was looking at different studios, but ultimately chose Universal. So what happened is that Universal, they announced on July 21st. No, sorry, not July. 21st. It was yeah, in September. Sorry, 2021. I got mixed up. So September 21 announced that his film will be distributed under Universal, and then the following month, Universal announced the July 21st, 2023 release date. So back to Warner Brothers. So originally they were gonna release this film Coyote versus Acme on July  21st. However, in April of last year, which Warner Brothers became Warner Brothers Discovery, they decided, oh, that we're going to release Barbie on July 21st, 2023, which is shady because clearly they decided to do this to irk Nolan. And a lot of people have noted that on social media. So, because they say apparently Nolan's disagreement with this Warner Brothers cited as the principal cause, though the newly appointed Warner Brother heads Michael DeLuca and Pamela Addy, they later stated that they wish to reconcile with Nolan. So I found that was interesting, but I think everyone we kind of could tell what was happening here. So yeah, so that pretty much started this whole Barbenheimer thing for those of you guys that are unaware. So essentially, like as it became bigger, we've seen a lot of fan made posters, merch, and so forth. So memes. So yeah, it's quite fascinating with this whole experience. So I want to start with my Barbenheimer experience. So originally, I was gonna watch both movies at the same day. I was gonna do Barbie first, and then end it with Oppenheimer. But then I learned that Barbie was gonna have like a event screening they called Barbie's Blowout Party. So I decided I'll sign up for that one on the Wednesday, and then I'll do Oppenheimer on Thursday in IMAX. So I think, like I said, that if you decide to do it on the same day, it's fine. If you want to do one, uh, see it one day and then watch it the next day, fine. I mean, I don't think it'll hinder your experience either way, my opinion. So I want to talk about Barbie. So I saw Barbie in VIP cinemas at Cineplex, my local Cineplex theater, and I find now with the whole Barbie's blowout party, I don't know if it changed because of the current SAG after strike, or if that was intended. But I just find with the event itself to be disappointing because essentially, for the first couple of minutes, because the show that I watched was at 7 at night, I think for like 5 to 10 minutes, it pretty much showed a sizzle reel of the soundtrack, and then showed ads like for to take selfies and all that stuff. So I was disappointed on the author because this is dubbed as a party, you figure it would be party, but it's not. So also too disappointed because at my screening they were passing out a poster and a pin. I mean, which is nice, but then I was disappointed to learn that with some theaters, I'm not sure if it's in Canada or in the US, they had more of an event than what me and the patrons have experienced at our local cinemas. So I'll show example here on Twitter. So this person at their cinema got, you see here, a hat, sunglasses, looks like a patch or a sign. I'm not sure what. A license plate sticker. Terrible. So this person clearly had fun. So yeah, that was disappointing to see all this stuff. And so that pretty much was Barbie for me. So with the film itself for Barbie, I was entertained by it, but I felt like parts of it were either were cringe or confusing. I don't want to go deep into it because it goes into spoiler territory. But I would say though, like, because it seems like with this movie wants to target kids. But I would say if based on the movie itself, I would recommend probably teenagers at the youngest or young adult women. Because with kids, will not get the themes or the gist of this movie, in my opinion. Now, let's get on with Oppenheimer. So, Oppenheimer, I saw it in IMAX at my local theater at Cineplex. That one was packed because if Barbie was packed, but also Oppenheimer was packed. And yeah, I had fun watching this movie. So I do want to note before I get into my thoughts that I saw two people at the screening for Oppenheimer wearing their Barbenheimer shirts, which was quite fascinating. I didn't expect to see that in Ottawa for me, but it was fascinating regardless. So so my screening like went smoothly, probably because it was like the first showing on the Thursday. Now I saw this was interesting that there apparently people reported with their screenings had some technical issues. So, for example, here with Cineplex, so I'll show you a couple shots from this person. So apparently, at one theater, they were showing the 70 millimeter format, and then apparently it abruptly shut off with 40 minutes left. Disappointing. Um, but yeah, people I guess did not had a great experience with the 70 millimeter format, and apparently Cineplex, they released a statement where they're saying that all Oppenheimer's 70 millimeter films shown by Cineplex are facilitated by independent third party experts who are currently stationed in our theaters. We are currently working directly with our partners to rectify a small number of issues. Due to the nature of movie presentations, both digital and film issues occur that may interrupt showings. Across the country, yesterday we welcomed over 195,000 guests into our theaters to enjoy a film on the big screen. So that's Cineplex's response to this issue. And I have a feeling though that unless if Cineplex or any other theaters out there, either Canada or across the world, if they do not straighten this issue out, it's not just going to hurt the film, but it's also going to hurt the theaters as well too. So I don't know, like if the people they have working the projections are actual like skilled projectionalists, or if they're just an employee at the theater that is not sure how it works. I recommend that they get someone that's very skilled in the projectionalist to help run those stations to make sure we avoid this issue. So for me, like for my past experience with theaters, I rarely have issues. Because I remember when I attended TIFF, I originally was supposed to see Hustlers in IMAX, but that showing got canceled because the projection was overheating. So I end up had to like pay money to see the movie at a later date in Toronto. And I think really the closest I had in terms of a shutdown was when I saw the first Kingsman movie in theaters. This was a regular screening, and it just abruptly shut off, like in the first act of the movie. And luckily, At the time, we got sent to another room, and no issue there. So, but the thing is here with this movie, since it's IMAX, I imagine most theaters they only have the one IMAX screen because if they can't find an alternative room to watch this movie, then that's bad news. So I don't know if in Canada specifically, if Oppenheimer Amex is exclusive to Cineplex, or if there's other theaters out there that show IMAX. So I just hope that they add more variety in terms of theaters, not just multiplex, but independent theaters as well too. So now with this movie itself, I really, really liked this movie. I was pretty much blown away about this movie. So I was concerned at first with the runtime, 3 hours. But I will say for me, I did not feel the length. Because I get that with this movie, it's very dialogue heavy. But for me, like, it didn't take me out of the movie. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience. I would say though, like the structure at times is a bit, maybe a bit jarring for some people because it goes like back and forth and all that stuff, but not abruptly. But other than that, I really really like this movie. And if you follow me on social media, like don't be surprised that I mentioned this movie in terms of my favorites of the year. So with this Barbenheimer experience, I just hope that we're seeing it now that it brings more money for theaters, especially like with the theaters struggling during pandemic, maybe some even prior. And it's just nice to see all sorts of people. They get to see like these movies, and hopefully though, like if you guys are reserved to see either or both, like I would say just take a chance on them. You never know, it could surprise you, or maybe not. So yeah, check those movies out. um and I just like, yeah, with these movies that it shows options in terms of the types of films that they typically play in theaters, especially since right now there's, I would say, a fatigue in terms of the franchises. I mean, there are numerous examples that came out earlier this year. It's just nice to see movies with these ones, like particularly with Oppenheimer, where it doesn't have existing IP. Well, but Barbie does. But I believe it's the first live action movie. I'm not too sure on that front. So yeah, like it just gives people options. And I saw like online some people note that with Oppenheimer should have been released in the fall. And I disagree with that because I don't think a certain type of movie should be released during a specific date. I think I'll probably make a video on this in the future because I think it doesn't matter with release date because, for example, if there's like a movie, let's just say with The Flash, that came out in June, but then June with this movie, it flopped. So I think, yeah, the release date, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, you could argue so because of competition, but I mean, with The Flash, it didn't really have much competition when it came out at the time in terms of other movies releasing at the same time. So I just find when some people note say stuff like that, I just find it's BS because if we're going to go along with that argument, I mean, Sound of Freedom, for example, I mean, that would be considered to be a fall movie, but that made money. So I don't know what else to say on that front. Now, in terms of money, box office, so on Thursday, so yesterday, Barbie made, I believe, over 22 million. This is domestic, while Oppenheimer made over 10.5 million. Now, I see myself, if I were to project, I think Barbie is going to have a better domestic play in terms of box office, while I think with Oppenheimer will have a better international play. But again, anything is possible these days. We'll have to know. Like, I'll be curious to see how both of these movies do on week two. So we'll just have to wait and see. And if you want to see my review for both of these movies, check out my letterbox, which I'll put in the description. So I did not make the both of these reviews detailed because I wrote them immediately after I was leaving the theater. I might do a detailed review later down the line when I rewatch them. I'm not too sure, depending on my schedule at that point. But yeah, like if I were to base solely on the film themselves, I recommend Oppenheimer over Barbie. But I would get that Oppenheimer may not be a big draw because it's not a commercial film, while Barbie it is. So those are my thoughts on Barbenheimer. I would love to know your thoughts on this. How is your Barbenheimer experience? Are you planning to see both in the same day, or you guys are going to space it out? Are you going to get any of the merch? So, if you guys attended the Barbie's blowout party, what was your experience on that? For those of you that seen Oppenheimer, either IMAX, either the digital or the 70 millimeter format, how's your experience with that? Let me know in the comments section. And also, to the link to my socials will be in the description. And I would say thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video, and I will catch you on the next one.